Ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching and listening to Real Talk with Ronnie with your host, Ronald Lynn. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ronald Lynn, your host. Welcome back to Real Talk with Ronnie. Today on my show, we have a special guest, a new guest. Her name is Micheline Attieh, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. She is running for state senator here in New Jersey for District 38. If you remember last time in 2021, my good friend Rich Garcia ran for that same seat, and he came within, I think, 2 points of winning. So this is a seat that is definitely up for grabs. And this year, the Republicans in New Jersey hope to flip this seat. So joining me today is the candidate, and I'm so happy to have her on our show. Hi, Micheline. How are you?
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Sure. Thank you. And this is your first time on. You're a first-time candidate, right? So I'm sure that my audience, they have a lot to ask about you, right? And they're very curious. So why don't you start off by telling us about yourself? Who is Micheline, and why have you decided to throw your hat into this race for state senate in District 38?
Okay. Micheline Attieh is a mother. I am a business owner. I own Four Diamond Transportation. I'm also a teacher, and I've taught different age groups from K through 5 all the way up to college level. So I was a college professor. I'm passionate with what I do, and I see a lot of things going backwards in New Jersey. So I want to put my expertise into this and make a difference rather than classroom by classroom, hopefully, and God willing, throughout the state of New Jersey.
Okay, wow. So you started off as a teacher, and then you became, like an entrepreneur, right? And I think your business is a limo business, right?
No, it's a school bus company. So
Okay.
I'm a business major, and I did
Right.
the alternate route to teach back in 2006.
Hmm.
And there was a demand for teachers just like today.
Right.
So I opted to do this. And I do have a love for teaching, but I also have a love for business.
Hmm.
And I combined the both, and I taught on the college level for about 13 years.
Okay. And which courses did you teach in college?
Oh, it was various. It was from computer applications to management courses and
Wow.
entrepreneurship. And yes,
Pretty impressive and intensive type courses, right?
thank you. Yes, yes, it was. But I love what I do. So
Mhm.
anytime you do things that you enjoy best, you kind of do it without, um, you know, almost effortless. But
Right.
it because it's fun.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you're doing something that you love and you get paid for it, it's the best of both worlds, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So this is your first time running for a political office?
Well, I was on the Board of Education for Manchester Regional High School. I was maybe about 21 years old. It was years ago. And I was there for the term. Uh, I almost completed it, but I married and I moved out. So it was, at that point, but that was the only time.
Okay.
And it was I do have some political background because my mom was involved
Mhm.
in politics, and so I was able to help her out. And anytime you run for something like this, you need the family support.
Right. Now, in what capacity was your mom in politics?
She was councilwoman
Okay.
in Prospect Park.
Okay, great. Wow. So how do you think your career, right, as a teacher, as a business owner, has prepared you for this role in public service?
Well, as a teacher, I can tell you, I worked with some of the finest teachers there is, and very passionate individuals. And but I see a lot of uh, rules that come from Trenton that makes it more challenging to just teach your basics. So, in other words, when I taught third graders, for example, back in 2006, I could not complete the lesson for the students that were not understanding it, the meaning the lesson. So, because of the calendar, I would have to stop teaching that student just to meet the standards. There was a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape involved. So there's certain challenges for the teachers, and it's frustrating. Uh, but there is a lot of ideas that I have that I can enhance on that
Okay.
in Trenton.
Right. And I think you'll see, when you get to Trenton, that sometimes it's probably easier dealing with third graders than it is with politicians, right?
I have to say I taught the young and the older,
Right.
and I tell you it's not much difference, but it all depends on who you're dealing with.
Right.
And I can deal with different types of personalities, and but I'm ready to do the job.
Right.
I'm ready to
And I think some
not
would
to
say,
forget.
right, and I think some would say that this whole political process sometimes is even more childish than grade school, right?
It is. I mean, sometimes it's like clear as day, but
Mhm.
uh, there's certain individuals you have to treat with kid gloves,
Right.
and there are times you have to throw down that iron fist like a mama bear would. So,
Okay. So speaking about your experience, right? So what are some of those big and new ideas that you would like to bring to Trenton based on your years of experience in the classroom and in the boardroom, right?
so I think in the school districts, I think there has to be freedom for the teacher to go ahead and teach uh, based on their skills. They should be more incentives for teachers to um, to feel appreciated. Because honestly, I don't think the teacher that's starting salary in the area is not something that can get you to survive at this point unless you're working a second job. That's for one. But the freedom to teach, okay, there's objectives for every classroom, and curriculum to follow, and that's well respected. New Jersey is one of the better schools, that could be within the country. So I feel that um, we can do a lot more within in just dealing with teachers and the districts, the principals. There's a lot of, I think, a choice schools are very important too, and it could keep everybody on board to focus mostly on the student, because I feel there's curriculum that can be more educational than what we're seeing now.
Mhm.
Uh,
Now, specifically, are you talking about the sex ed, curriculum that's being forced upon students in many school districts in our state?
yes, and I think in this case, Trenton has to, or Murphy and the Democrats specifically, they have to understand that the parents are not the enemy.
Mhm.
And there is an uproar on this topic everywhere I have been campaigning, that I hear this quite often. Uh, Students need to learn the things that are going to challenge them and make them more marketable in the industry, in the business industry, in the industry they choose to be in.
Mhm.
um, Sex ed should be the talk. uh, Maybe uh, I understand, even when I went to high school, right, the discussion was health,
Mhm.
health education. But specifically sex education, that should be for the parents. I don't think the parents want but the best. And, and then it goes into what it is now. The HIPAA law for the state of New Jersey, the parents have no rights to see where their kids are, whether they wanted to change, their gender, or, they want to seek some mental help, anything that has to deal with the child. I mean, let's face it, in order for us to, um, the children to get a tattoo, for example, they need that parental approval, right? At the age of 16. And now they're saying, a child can change their sex
Right.
without after the age of 12.
Yeah, to me, this seems like a very hot topic, and it's a controversial topic. And
It is.
when I ran for county office last year and the year prior, this was a big issue then too, right? But it seems like Democrats, and especially the far left ones, right? They're continuously pushing this issue, right? Do you think it's just a case of them being tone deaf, or why do you think they're continuously doing this when it's such a topic that's such a big topic and it's so polarizing, and a lot of parents, right, across the political spectrum are against this?
Well, I know there's traditions and there's culture involved. And let's face it, we have the melting pot right here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, and for us, certain parents feel that rights are being taken away, whether it be religious or choices. For one, we fled a country that was, in war the whole time. So we came here for freedom and protection. So this is the greatest nation, no doubt. And this is why I will fight for this country.
Right. Now, which country did your family come from?
We came from Beirut, Lebanon.
Okay, wow.
So my kids are first generation. But getting back to why is it so important? Because there's so many people that come here from different countries seeking this protection and this freedom. So as parents, we want to be free to raise our children the way we have in our culture. And so I think the majority don't want this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I tend to hear too as I campaigned, last year. That the majority of parents, if you talk to parents from any political stripe, from any race, any gender, any background, they're against this sort of curriculum. But for some reason, the Democrats in this state and across the nation, they seem to embrace it, right? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with sex ed in general, right? But I
No.
think there ought to be some sort of limit, correct?
Absolutely not first grade.
Right.
But I do feel that, um, if you're going to talk about this sex education in school, why is it so bad that the parents sit in on this with their children?
Right. I mean, if anything, sex ed should be something that's between the parent and the child, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I came across one person during the campaign that actually feels, I mean, she was older than me, and she claims to be an educator.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, that makes the two of us. She feels that it's okay to just let the children get that whole sex education. I feel, let's educate them, not indoctrinate them.
Right.
Because at this point, at that age, you're indoctrinating them.
Right.
That's not right.
I mean, kids at that age are pretty, they're still,
Very influenced.
their minds are still molding, right? So I mean, they're impressionable, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now education is obviously a big topic because
Yes.
that comes close to your heart. What are the other topics that you see that are pretty big that you want to focus on during the course of your campaign? And what are the issues that you feel that you see are pretty, crucial in District 38?
So I think because of the high volume of violence that are occurring, so the policing is very important. We need to support them. We have to allow them to do the work. There's so many criminals out there that are being released, and the innocent are more or less being frowned upon or viewed as criminals. Um, even as moms on Facebook or anything like that, they're being viewed as um, uh, what do you call them?
Well, I think parents these days are actually being like, villainized, right?
That's
Right.
basically what it is.
Mhm.
And but someone can rob a car, um, go to jail, and be out, faster than you can
24 hours, right?
drive. Yeah, exactly. So there is a lot of there has to be tougher laws on criminals,
Mhm.
and we have to let the police departments do their work as taught. Educating is wonderful, and just like any teacher or any profession, doctors or anything like that, uh, constant education in the field and what's happening is very important for all professions.
Mhm.
So, but you definitely have to let the police officers do their work, and we as legislature, we have to support them. I
Oh,
don't see that.
right. So education, crime, is there anything else that you want to focus on during your campaign?
Um, Actually, job opportunities.
Mhm.
So, um, we have to bring in businesses back to Jersey. Our governor said that if high taxes are your issues, New Jersey is not for you. And and just looking in the surrounding area, Nabisco are shut down because of high taxes. And
That Nabisco plant is something that hits home, right? Because I grew up in Fairlawn, and I remember growing up when
I
my
lived
parents
there for
and
10 years,
I,
so
right,
I know this.
when we would go driving up and down, 208, the smell of cookies was always something that we look forward to. And now to see that building there, on the verge of being torn down, is just kind of sad.
Yeah, and why did they leave the country?
Mhm.
Why did the company leave the country? It's
Right.
because the high taxes that was here. My uh, opponent and the governor, they called that greed. No,
Mhm.
it's not greed. They gave jobs to so many that now don't have jobs. So
Right.
what do? They go on unemployment. You're not allowing the people of New Jersey to work for what they have when you're handing them out the
Right.
money, the funds to survive. And we all know there's a lot of um, uh, extra spending
Mhm.
that's coming out of
Well, I
Trenton.
think extra spending is a good way to put it, right? But
Yeah,
it's like a nice, polite way to say it. But there's that saying there, right? Like, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If
that's
you
right.
teach a man a fish, then he eats
That's
for a
right.
lifetime,
Yeah,
right?
that's time. That's
It
right.
does certainly seem that our government these days, whether it's in Trenton or Washington D.C., they're
Yes.
more involved with trying to give everybody a fish, right?
That's right. And then if you just drive up and down, Route 17 or some of these roads, the storefronts are like, vacant. There's no businesses. So businesses and, making the New Jersey very lucrative is very important to me because
Mhm.
to me, this is home. This
Right.
is where, my parents came from Lebanon and came and established themselves here in Jersey. So
Mhm.
to me, this is home.
Right. Now, speaking of your opponent, right? He's a pretty, from what I hear, he has a pretty big war chest, right? and he seems pretty popular amongst Democratic circles. And I think he's going into what, his third term, second term,
I
third
think
term, right?
yeah,
Right.
third.
In 2021, Rich Garcia, who's my good friend who ran for the same seat, he came really close to beating Joe Logana. I think he came within 2 or 3 points. This year, after the redistricting that took place, right, District 38 is actually more favorable, or a lot more favorable than what it was in 2021. So there is a real opportunity to flip this district, right?
Yes.
What are your plans to try to, you know, fill in that gap, and or to try to close that gap and flip this district?
Well, first of all, I can't keep up with his war chest, like you said.
Right.
However, I am a hard worker, and I do plan on uh, stomping these grounds. I have great running mates. They're eager to win as much as I am. And, you know, based on the message that so many New Jerseyans are looking for resolution, this is what I'm planning to do. I'm listening to the voters. Um, I understand he's a nice guy, but there's certain things as a family man, like you kind of wonder, why would he vote anything differently? So this law that passed, um, you know, that's questionable.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's say you get to Trenton, right? Is there like a signature piece of legislation that you would want to sponsor or co-sponsor? Like a special project that you would want to pursue.
Yeah, the first thing I would do is reverse parental rights.
Mm-hmm.
Parents have the right to make decisions for their children, not the government. And this is where it's very important that we as parents fight for our children. We're not fighting our children, we're fighting for them. And it's not the government's decisions to take over that role, because then, you know, um, unless, uh, you know, I can't, you can't have all these children under Murphy's law. So um, this cannot happen.
Okay. Now, your family and my family, both immigrants from other nations, right? My parents came
Yeah.
from Taiwan. Yours came from,
Well,
Lebanon, right? Do you think the American dream is still here today?
Um, so I came here in 1978, and I feel that in every decade there was some sort of challenge. Um, in comparison to other nations, I feel that we still have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
We have um, we it still exists. The American dream can is still exists, and but the only thing is we have to make it stronger and louder. Our voices have to be heard. We have the rights, we have the freedom. It's a God given. We have to follow the Constitution.
Right.
And for me, I have the voice. I hear everybody's complaints. I hear, their concerns as American, as family, unity. I hear all that, and I hear the struggles that people are facing financially, and I hear all that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm passionate about it, and I want to make a difference.
Okay. This is your first time running for public office. Well, you've served on the board of ed prior, but this is like your first run for like
Yes,
a elected seat for the people, right?
yes.
Is there something that you've learned on the campaign trail that you didn't expect throughout this whole process?
Um, it's pretty much everything that I anticipated so far. I've been meeting wonderful people. Um, there is a lot of hard work involved.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I'm not afraid of hard work. And, when you come to, the US, you kind of start off with nothing, and, I didn't come from money, but we have great work ethics, and all I can give is my best, and I intend to work hard and fight hard for the voters of New Jersey
Okay.
and District 38, of course.
Right. District 38, which obviously it includes a lot of very crucial towns, right? Like,
Yeah.
Paramus, which some say is like the shopping hub of the country.
Yeah, and there's a lot of empty storefronts too.
Right. Yeah. Now, what are your thoughts on 2024, on the presidential race, on anything 2024?
I just want to get through November.
Okay.
But you know what? Whoever gets into the seat of the president, I always, whoever it is, whether it be the previous president, the existing president, we always want them to succeed
Mhm.
because they represent the US, right?
Right.
But my focus for 2023 right now is winning.
Right.
And I could almost feel it.
Makes sense, right? Your focus for 2023 is 2023, right?
That's
All
right.
right. Now let's get on to the fun part of the interview. Not to say that the previous part wasn't fun,
Yes.
but let's start with some questions about you, right? So, what does Micheline, right? What
Mhm.
do you do for fun?
Oh, what do I do for fun?
Right.
So when I have some time there, I like to gather with family.
Hmm.
I have a grandson who keeps me hopping.
Right.
He's 11 months old. He brings a different meaning to love.
Right.
I'm
This is your
telling you.
first grandson, your first grandchild?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So my oldest daughter or my oldest child um, had a baby 11 months ago. So
Congratulations.
thank you. He's just a joy.
You should probably bring him on the campaign trail more often to get more votes.
Yeah, really.
Right.
I'm trying to get him to the parade, but
Okay.
we'll see.
All right. So hanging out with family is something fun that Micheline
Yes,
likes to do.
yes.
What is something about Micheline that the voters wouldn't know about if they just saw your palm card? Like a one fun fact about Micheline.
Fun fact. Um, let's see. I mean, the different level of, I guess, students that I've had where I've taught. So a lot of I mean, students that I've taught have like a different age range. So there's a lot of people that come up to me and say, "You taught me, this class in this school," and so I mean, that would be it. I mean, not too many people can say that.
Your running mate, Gail Horton, right, was
Yeah.
also a educator. I
Yes.
think you guys should go on like a teacher tour, right?
You know what? Unfortunately, I would love to, but there's the certain endorsements that are required, or
Right.
and they're not for the Republicans.
Right.
So unfortunately, yeah.
Like the NJEA.
I didn't want to say it, but
Right. Okay, now, Micheline, I will give you the next 60 seconds to give
yeah.
your best plug as to why the voters of District 38 ought to vote for you for a state senator this November.
Okay. So I would like everyone to vote for Micheline Attieh and the ticket. Um, I am a hardworking individual. I have a great background. I'm ethical in the decisions that I make. My main point of view is just for the voters of New Jersey, District 38. I have my best interest for everyone. I will do everything I can to eliminate waste and fight for the voters of what they want in District 38.
All right. Thank you, Micheline. And to throw up your website here. So, for all the viewers that are watching or listening, if you want to check out your website, right, you can go to attieh4senate.com, ATTIEH 4 FOR Senate.com. And on your website, I'm sure there's a method for them to reach out, right, if they want to donate or get in touch with their campaign, correct?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Micheline, for coming on Real Talk. This is your first time,
Thank you,
right?
Ron.
And I hope to see you again on the campaign trail. And, I wish you the best of luck. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching and listening to Real Talk with Ronnie. To watch and learn more about our show, including ways to contact us and how you can be a guest, go to realtalkronnie.com.